most of the time they ask me what are the good indication for a tendon transfer, and this is exactly the same question, but the reverse. And I realized that I've never made this topic, and this is really a new presentation from me, and this is to open the debate. So I would like to say reverse means stereotypic shoulder, but with a very nice mistake. But it's not very easy because we can understand that we totally disagree together. What is it? This is the definition of Burke's. Normal passive range of motion, but active elevation more than 45 degrees. But this patient, in fact, it was an acute case. So if you repair the cuff, and I join you, Michael, if you repair this cuff, which is a very bad cuff, I do not remember the fat infiltration, but you can reverse this shoulder. I'm not sure it's a stereotypic shoulder, but this guy is not a very good example for this definition of a stereotypic shoulder. This is the other definition. You show us the same. A stereotypic shoulder is 0 degree of active forward elevation, full passive elevation, anterosuperior escape, and no improvement with lidocaine injection because most of the patients have no pain. But look at, again, this patient. He has no anterior superior escape. He has just no elevation. He has good internal rotation, good external rotation, but no anterior superior escape. So this patient is not a stereotypic shoulder into this definition because there is no anterior superior escape. And in this patient, in fact, he had a posterior superior massive cuff T. It was a type E from Philip Collin. And we know with Philip Collin that you may have 33% of stereotypic shoulder. So that means, and you don't have anterior superior escape. So the definition of stereotypic shoulder cannot be anterior superior escape. So this is, now we're going more forward into the crazy definition because we disagree with stereoparalytic shoulder, and now we are talking about stereoparalytic shoulder. So this is the definition, but look at this patient, she has more than 90 degrees of elevation. She has screw head, but the problem is the pain, and I think this definition is probably not the good one too for this patient. So finally, those definitions are unclear. Nobody talk about the rotation and especially the horizontal balance of the shoulder. What about the acute or chronic situations? And what about the anatomy, the explanation of this deficit? Because we cannot correlate the deficit with the anatomy. And I think, finally, we should eliminate this word because there are confusion with the nerve palsy. Stereoparalytic means like a paralytic shoulder. But if you talk about stereoparalytic shoulder, that means it should be like a paralytic shoulder. So that means it should mimic a paralytic shoulder. So what is a paralytic shoulder? Okay, let's go to all the nerves you can find around the shoulder. This is the axial nerve palsy. You can see that range of motion is strictly normal. This is the publication of Bassem and Jean-David Bertel. And you can see that you have no deltoid with no axial nerve. Then you can have normal range of motion. So this does not mimic a stereotypic shoulder. This is another one. What happened? Maybe there is a... Yes. It is a supracapsular nerve palsy, a lesion of a supracapsular nerve. You have no infraspinatus, no supraspinatus. And you can see that this shoulder is working, but there is no external rotation. But this is not a stereotypic shoulder. This is a paralytic shoulder. This is just like the associated loss of external rotation. I'm sorry, but I think maybe I will lose this one. Yes. The long thoracic nerve, it's a paralytic shoulder too. You have a winging scapula, but you don't have something equivalent when you have a lesion of a tendon. So you may have a lesion of a spinal axillary nerve palsy, but this does not mimic a cervical shoulder. Look at, you have no good elevation, you have no abduction, so this does not look like cervical shoulder, what we think about cervical shoulder. So finally, this is a brachial plexus palsy, C5, C6, with no recovery. It's an adult post-traumatic. The shoulder is just unstable in elevation, but there is nothing. It is a paralytic shoulder, but there is no rotation. You can see there is nothing. It is totally different than the pediatric herpes palsy, where the shoulder is stiff. So in the traumatic and adult problem, the shoulder is totally with a normal passive range of motion, but the pediatric is always different. So all these shoulders are paralytic shoulders, but never will mimic what we imagine to be a cervical shoulder. So I propose to stop using the words such as pseudoparalytic and pseudoparalytic, and to try to go through maybe something else, and this is very new. So I propose cervical shoulder could be the chronic result of either an isolated and total vertical imbalance of the shoulder, or combined with an horizontal imbalance of the shoulder. So let me explain you that. You know probably this jaw. When you have no subscap and no supraspinatus, you have both an horizontal anterior and vertical imbalance of the shoulder. You may have an anterior superior escape. There are two directions. This gives a cervical shoulder in 80% of the cases, and this is the good definition of Burke. On the opposite, when you have no supra, no infra, no teres minor, you have also vertical imbalance and horizontal posterior imbalance of the shoulder. We know we may have 30% of cervical shoulder, and with a posterior superior escape, maybe it's less frequent because you have the vault of the spine of the scapula, which could help for the elevation of the shoulder. But anteriorly you have nothing. So finally, I think we have three situations. This is the very first one, and Pascal Boileau called that the isolated loss of active elevation. There is only one direction, but it's the vertical imbalance of the shoulder. Rotations are normals, but there is nothing in elevation. The nerve, of course, is normal. There is no way for us, for me, we cannot reverse that with tendon transfer, maybe after failed partial repair of the cuff, and this is the field of a reverse shoulder arthroplasty. On the same way, this is the second situation, and this is, if you follow the classification of Pascal, the combined loss of elevation and activation rotation. And in that situation, you cannot make a transfer alone, but you can make a reverse plus a transfer, because you will restore the vertical imbalance of the shoulder, the instability of the shoulder, plus you will fire the external rotation, which have a deficit. And finally, this is the situation I've described, the combined loss of elevation and internal rotation. It is a cervical shoulder because there is no horizontal and vertical imbalance, and in that situation, you can put, yes, a reverse plus a tendon transfer if you want, but I think in that situation, it's not really useful. So for conclusion, this is three situations where the tendon transfer can be done. You have only one deficit direction, and the shoulder is not unstable. And this is the field of the tendon transfer, and you know, when I use the biceps to stabilize the vertical imbalance of the shoulder, and the tendon transfer to restore the horizontal shoulder. This is the other situation I've described. You have a highly deficit of elevation. You have the clear and deficit of elevation and external rotation, and this is the deficit of elevation and internal rotation. This is the field of a reverse shoulder arthroplasty plus of minus tendon transfer. Thank you.